All right, everyone, welcome to tonight's episode of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from NGC Studios here in South Florida, and I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight. Contact info as usual. If you would like to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can do so at SamW_NGC. Hashtag Whitfield Report. You can also follow the Whitfield Report on Twitter at Whitfield Report. Follow me on Gab and Parler at Sam Whitfield. TheSamWhitfield.com is my website. Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. And as always, subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Quick shout out to the live chat here. We have El Jefe in it. That is the Jeff in English. For those of you struggling with the Spanish to English translation, we have Blaze Dust Dreamer, and we have Evil Eric, who says, "I'm nude." Well, lovely, Eric. Of course we know you. Of course we know you're nude. So, yeah. Anyway, folks, I actually have a guest with me tonight. Joining me from Southern California, I think, is Ryan Marhoefer, who hasn't been on the show in roughly a year and a half. I don't think
that long.
So, yeah, it's been a while. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Marhoefer. How are you doing?
A bit of coronavirus, and I'm locked up in the house. So, well, I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, well, we're all locked up right now. So, we're all trapped.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm healthy and my family's healthy, but I also don't go to work anymore.
Yeah, well,
and I don't go to school anymore.
Yeah, well, none of us do. So, we're in strange times, I'll tell you that. But you mentioned to me when you texted me the other day that you actually started a new publication of sorts.
Yes. So I go to Chapman University. There's a bit of history between me and that school. In that I seem to be very good at pissing the people there off. And they seem to be very good at making my life hard. And so we've sort of arrived at this little tango that we do every once in a while, in which I make them a little bit more mad and they make my life a little bit harder. And so I figured, well, I bet I could piss them off more than they can make my life hard. And so I decided to start a new school paper called The Hasparian. And the reason for that name is Chapman University used to be called Hasparian College back when it was traditional and Christian and rooted in some real values and everything. And so nobody actually knows what the name means, but I think it's a unique name nonetheless. That's pretty simple to remember. And so we started it. Our debut was Wednesday, so I don't know, what's that, 4 days ago? 5? And and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days. And so it's been great. All the staff writers of our school paper, the official paper called the Panther newspaper, because Chapman is the Panthers.
Yeah.
They've all unfriended me on Facebook. They've all unfollowed me on Instagram. They're very upset. And I think if we were just saying we disagree with the Panther, We don't think they're the best. You know, we don't agree eye to eye on everything. If we were very nuanced and mellow about everything, they probably wouldn't bat an eye. But not only have we come out full force and basically called them pretend journalists and people who waste our tuition to spew leftist and hateful propaganda, but we have also, I think we also threaten their existence, and that's why they're so upset. Because they know that they've become complacent, and they know that there's a huge hole in the market on campus and in the surrounding community for a real news source and a real publication that really provides a platform for discourse between viewpoints. And so it's been off to a great start. We already have professors writing in the paper. We have community members writing in the paper. We have students. We already have more people reaching out to write guest columns. We have people reaching out to donate already. So it's been great. I think if we just stay true to the course, I think things will turn out very well.
Yeah, so for the audience that isn't really familiar with, Ryan, I've had him on the show twice before, and I think the first time I had you on, which was like, oh, geez. Well, first off, I found Ryan through the infamous faggot known as
I found
Milo.
you.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, you found me. So.
So yeah, I saw on Milo Yiannopoulos' Snapchat story, Milo was doing like a Snapchat of his computer screen, and I saw that there was one tab open, and it was the Facebook page of Sam Whitfield. And so I contacted Sam Whitfield, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, Milo was looking you up on Facebook."
Yeah, I got so many DMs that day
That's funny.
about that. So then you and I started talking, and and at the time you were actually writing for the Panther, and one of your columns I'd gotten censored, and since then we've kind of been friends, I guess. So, which is kind of interesting because all of the guests I have had on the show who are also college Republicans, there seems to be a concurrent theme of all my guests at one point or another have been censored on college campus. I just talked to one of the, I shouldn't say I just talked to, but I frequently have on the head of the Turning Point chapter for Penn State, and they're always getting censored over at Penn State because it's Penn State, one of the most left-wing schools over there. And also, they've been fighting Reupers over there too. So so they're
interesting.
So they're in the thick of it. But when you texted me the other night and said that you started a new publication, I'm honestly not that surprised. So, I guess.
I'm sorry. Say that again. You just froze up.
Oh, no problem. When you text me and said that you started a new newspaper, I'm kind of I'm not really that surprised considering that, you've been censored repeatedly on the Panther. So is it like an actual physical newspaper that you have, on campus, or are you doing digital?
We were going to be physical as well. I don't want to go too much into the details in case if any nefarious individuals are watching.
Sure.
But we made an amazing printing deal with basically the best newspaper printer around, who was sympathetic to our cause. Someone who's not open the public. We published these papers, and we were prepared if anybody stole our papers or trashed them or anything. We have one main lawyer, and then we have one other lawyer as well, who I also use for personal uses, and they've been amazing. And so one would be Bill Becker with Freedom X, who is a great guy, based in California. So I'm sure maybe some people know him. And
Sure.
so we were prepared for any funny business, but really with our newspapers, we were going to make them to where it was like people wanted to keep them and treasure them because these newspapers were going to be so special and rare or limited, I suppose. But right when we were ready to print, Chapman University said, okay, everyone, classes, everybody who's living on campus, you have to go home now.
Right.
And so there's not too much use in printing out a newspaper when there's nobody around to read the physical version. So we've just been doing it online. We launched Wednesday. We've been mostly getting our traffic through Facebook. And so in the first day, I think we got 1,000 views and 250 unique visitors. And so it's been pretty good. We want to get those numbers up, but people are definitely interested. People are definitely grateful for a different news source, and it's something that will actually publish all opinions, not just the most loony leftist ones. We'll publish leftist ones too, but either for the left or the right for the opinion we publish. It's all just saying Donald Trump is a horrible human being who is a Cheeto man and he reminds me of Hitler.
Right.
That would not live up to our editorial standards. It may live up to the high editorial standards of the Panther, but not for us. And so that's what we've basically tried to do, is improve discourse, but also have honest news reporting.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that really, I mean, I think, all newspapers across the board, not just college papers, need to focus on. But also, I mean, now you have the added trouble of, this is something I've kind of encountered. What else is there to talk about in the news but coronavirus? Or, I guess I should call it, the beer flu or something like that. So it's, the news cycle has been completely.
I've got a few good stories, but
the news cycle.
I've got a few good stories, but
oh, go ahead.
Okay. I've got a few good stories, but we've also. Last thing I'll say about the Hasparian. The Hasparian. Oh, by the way, in case if any of the viewers are interested in looking at what we've done, it's HasparianNewspaper.com. Hasparian is HESPERIAN. Just sound it out. HasparianNewspaper.com. We've been trying to create some news, or at least get some attention. Like we had a column by one professor already, and some more coming along the way. But then also by students. We had one student so Chapman has been getting some. This is for context for Chapman has been sort of really put on blast by the school paper and the left wing of the campus, like the far left wing of the campus, as being a haven for racists.
Wait, what?
Because our film school had the Birth of a Nation poster. Regardless of the subject matter, that movie was revolutionary in the art of filmmaking, regardless of the subject matter, right? It was basically the first feature-length film, essentially, right? It's a relevant film in filmmaking. And so they said Chapman didn't want to take down the poster initially, and so Chapman is a haven for racists. And then later on, we had one student who basically had a very bad mixture of a plus psychotropic medication and just went completely loony and basically said some racist things in the classroom before he was kicked off campus. And I don't know if he was expelled or what, but he was kicked off physically that day. And And so people thought, oh, this kid, even though he was definitely impaired in that moment mentally, they tried to spin it as he only said those things because he felt comfortable enough to say it at Chapman. And so literally the Panther newspaper, the official paper, they have like 6 articles all saying Chapman has a race problem. Chapman is a haven. We need to talk about Chapman's race problem. Da, 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 da. And a group on campus that was leading the charge of that narrative was the Black Student Union. And they're great, whatever, segregate students based off of skin color, sure, whatever. If I try to do it, it wouldn't turn out so well, but I guess they can do it, whatever. It's not really the hill that I'm willing to die on. But they've really been saying, they've just been pushing that narrative that Chapman needs more diversity, Chapman hates Black students, Chapman needs to be inclusive. And so I actually had an African-American student, Chapman student, reach out to me, and she said, I want to write a guest column for your paper talking about how the Black Student Union is intolerant of Black students who hold opposing viewpoints to them. And so we published it. And so far, I think it's the most popular article on our paper, and it certainly ruffled some feathers because it totally goes against the narrative. And so, I just think some groups on the chat was a guaranteed thing and couldn't be challenged, whether it was the BSU or the Panther newspaper or Chapman Democrats or feminists or anything else. And they're realizing that, they can't scare everyone into submission and into silence. Yeah. And so those are like the stories that we've been trying to create. But other news stories besides coronavirus, one that I think that's been super interesting that I guess not a lot of people have heard about has been the sexual assault allegation against Joe Biden.
Oh, yes. I heard something about that, but not a lot. So what's your take on that? I mean, first off, I think
it seems like a totally credible. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
First off, I think Trump is gonna rail Biden in the debates. There's no question
I think so too.
About that. So
I'm sure you saw the Joe Biden clip where Joe Biden said, or not Joe Biden, Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan was talking about Biden. And he said, they can pretend that Biden doesn't have a problem, but once he goes up on that debate stage with Trump is going to tear him apart.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the fact that they got stuck with Joe Biden, who doesn't even know where he is half the time, it's not going to end well for him. So
no. I wouldn't be surprised if during the debate or something he was like, and I like to announce my running mate, Donald Trump.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But with the sexual assault allegation against him, like the main accuser, like she knows the date, the time of the day, the exact place, exactly what happened, and the entire left is ignoring it. But Christine Blasey Ford, right? She couldn't remember the day. She couldn't remember the place. She couldn't remember who else was there or anything else. It was the most vague of accusations. And the left said, we need to believe this woman. We need to, get her story out there. Da, 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 da. And it just shows obviously sexual harassment and assault is horrible, but it just shows how, the left is willing to ignore it and is willing to promote false claims, both for political purposes.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a controversial opinion, so RIP your newspaper, because I'm about ready to probably sink it with this controversial opinion, but I think that there are some cases I think the definition of sexual assault nowadays has been so watered down to basically mean anything. you
Well, if
know,
you look at someone for too long, that's harassment.
well, yeah,
Apparently.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, by that definition, I'm a serial, sexual assaulter.
Watch that
So
clip be taken out of context.
oh yeah. So Lord knows that they've probably already taken a bunch of clips out of context.
Yeah, they've probably spliced the words together.
Not only that, but what's also interesting is uh, Louis C.K. actually, I don't know if you saw this, he actually just released his new special today. His first one in like since the meet since
Oh, interesting.
since the whole Me Too thing began. And
Hmm.
I'm actually Louis is one of my favorite stand-up comedians. I bought like all of his stand-up. I bought all of his specials over the years, and so I went out and bought this immediately. And I also Googled, his new special just to see what people were reacting. And the New York Times, they haven't even reviewed it yet, and yet they're already flipping out that he is allowed to like have one. Now he's self-produced. This he didn't have like any deal with Netflix
Interesting.
or anything, but just the fact that he has a new one out is driving them, insane. And what he did, yeah, it might be gross, but like that's kind of it. Like he never committed a
Yeah.
crime per se, and it not only that, but it was consensual. It was only like 25 years later that these women said, oh, he sexually.
Oh, is that long?
Yeah, well, it was like it
It
was
was it was the plant thing, right?
yeah.
Or no?
Well, no,
Over the phone?
yeah. One of them was he jerked off to him over the phone, and then one of them he jerked off like in front of him, but both times he like asked, and they said okay. So that's the weird thing is like he asked like both times, and they were like sure, I guess, and then like 15 years later whatever they're upset about it. So I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. I really like Dave Chappelle, and I remember one of Dave Chappelle's specials where he said, one of those women said she dropped out of comedy over the phone thing.
Oh yeah.
And he said, if that's all it takes for you to drop out, then you weren't really gonna make it anyway.
No, the comedy scene is just the comedy scene is brutal, Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to mention names because my audience is probably sick and tired of hearing this, but one comedian who I've actually had to deal with over the past years, like completely went crazy and is
Is his
now
name Benjamin?
yeah, I think some
I actually don't remember his last name.
I I I think something Smith or something like that. I don't know. But some people go crazy,
Mhm.
in that whole scene. So,
I know. I've heard stories about how people will be a staff member on SNL, and just every SNL member will constantly be putting each other down and like trying to play head games with them. And so yeah, it's a brutal thing. And it's not like, like in other fields, like you may have people talking crap on you and talking poorly to you and everything. But, in other fields it's just get the job done. But in comedy you have to put on a performance, and I'd say it's even tougher to do when people are being so toxic towards you.
yeah, the interesting thing is someone actually told me recently. They said, "Sam, we think that you should do stand up," and I'm like, "Why? I'm not funny." But I'm like, but they said, "Well, you've been in politics, so that's kind of the same shit show as comedy. So
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I might do it at some point, but you know, like politics and comedy are like very weird, you know, fields in terms of that because there's all that drama. You know, like
Yeah.
even amongst like kind of the conservative groups now, like they're all these like conservative. I don't even want to say conservatives, but like kind of right, you know, leaning subgroups. So, you know,
Yeah, I know that some
now.
people, I know some people on the right certainly cannot take a joke. Your John Kasich, Mitt Romney types.
Well, I mean,
Or Reagan Battalion, I think, is the Twitter account that tried to destroy Milo's career. I guess it kind of succeeded, but
yeah.
yeah, there's some toxicity, I suppose, on
Well,
the right as for sure.
well, I mean, the the alt right really can't take a joke either. So, I
Mm,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, and then I mean, you get the weirdos like Fuentes who are just obsessed with you know, race and IQ and the the Jews, you know,
Uh,
all the time.
I
So,
will be honest, and this may be a controversial opinion, but Fuentes, as of late, you know, obviously I'm not endorsing anything and everything he said. I don't know everything he said, but as of late, what I've seen from him, I thought has been pretty good. It's just giving TP USA and Charlie Kirk a run for their money. I think that's good.
yeah, I I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with his army of groypers, basically going in and harassing Turning Point chapter leaders who have nothing to do with who have nothing really to do
Yeah.
with. I mean, here's the thing about Turning Point. I don't want to get people in trouble, but a lot of I will say this about Turning Point. There are a lot of good people at Turning Point
Yeah.
who disagree with what Charlie and the and upper management are doing right now, and you know,
Hmm.
and so I think eventually Charlie's going to be asked to step down, or he's. I mean, there are rumors that he's going to run for Congress, which you know, good luck,
Um,
good luck, Chuck. So
who's his friend? Um,
I'm sorry,
Candace Owens. Candace Owens.
yeah.
Candace Owens just said that she's going to run for Congress.
Mm, oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking I'm like, okay, when though? When like are you gonna do it from your house? See, this is like the whole weird thing is like with the whole quarantine thing happen. It's like it's kind of weird to make announcements of stuff like that because it's like, okay, well, are you gonna run now or like 2 years from now? You know, like potentially
Yeah.
if we keep getting locked down. So.
I think by the end of this month for sure, we'll be back to normal.
We
Because at a certain point, the cure is going to be worse than the disease. You know,
Yeah, we better be.
you
Um,
you can only lose their income.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's
People are going to start dying in suicide.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that the economic halt has already been more damaging, you know, than the coronavirus. I mean, that's not to say that the coronavirus isn't serious, but it only affects, you know, it only affects like a small percentage of the population. And yes, I
I
know,
agree.
and yes, I know that we need to protect them, but that's no reason to shutter the entire.
So, Sam, it sounds like what you're saying is that you want Granny to die so your stocks do better. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
I'm just kidding. That's just what everyone else says in response.
now that you mention it, I have invested in a couple funeral home companies, so you know, my stocks could
I don't
always.
think a single child has died from it.
I think there was one child in Italy that died of it,
Oh, really?
but like but Yeah, well, here's the thing about Italy.
That's one.
Well, yeah,
And I saw a stat in Italy, like the average age of those who have died is like 80, and 99% of them had underlying health conditions.
you want to know why? Because Italians smoke like chimneys over there. Everyone in that country, well, everyone in Europe basically smokes. I,
Yeah.
I've, I've never seen, I have never not seen a European without a cigarette in their hand, and then like, and then also Europeans like they come over here to Florida to vacation, and they'll be like, what do you mean no smoking? What does this? I don't understand this concept. So
It's very funny. I know everyone in Asia seems to smoke too, at least in the more affluent areas.
yeah, certainly in China that that's the case. I mean, I don't know. Part of me also thinks that this whole thing is a big Chinese bioweapon. You know, too.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
It's not a very good bioweapon.
Well, it doesn't have to be though. I mean, I think China has kind of done what they set out to do, which was to shutter the world, economy. Um,
Hmm.
so
But other coronaviruses have come out of China's wet market as well.
yeah, I mean, I don't know that. Like I said, it's just a theory, but people ultimately need to stop.
I've seen videos of the wet markets and of them like,
Oh, go ahead.
you go.
Oh, I was just saying. You know, I by the way, folks, we're having a bit of trouble lagging here on Skype, so I don't know. Are you getting that too, Ryan, or is it just on my end?
Yeah, I am as well.
Yeah, Skype's overloaded because I mean everyone's using it now because of teleworking. So thanks
I know.
coronavirus. But no, what I was saying is, I mean it's just the theory, but you know, I mean honestly, I'm I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm surprised that it got this far. To the point where everything got shut down, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
My more paranoid instincts have kind of kicked in, and I I find myself more and more going the Alex Jones route these days. So
Oh, I actually don't even know what he said. He has disappeared from all of my social media, and so I've lost track of him.
oh yeah,
What's he saying?
he's pretty much saying that, ironically, he's actually been pretty calm about this, but he's saying people shouldn't panic, but that obviously China has had a motivation to do this, to shutter the world economy and to try and make Trump look bad. So,
Yeah.
which is I think that's what they tried to do, but in reality it's kind of backfired. Like Trump's approval rating is like up more and more. So, but
I think when the media sets the bar so low for Trump, Trump easily just steps right on over it, and he says, "Look at me." And then everyone is amazed that he's just being a normal president.
yeah. So anyway, what were you saying about wet markets?
Oh, I've just seen videos of the wet markets and how they will like cook dogs alive, and and, and when they cook the dogs, they think that apparently if they cook animals alive, like if they die in fear, then the meat tastes better or it's more tender or something.
Oh
And
yeah.
so I'll see videos of like them cooking dogs alive in like a frying pan. I'm
Ugh.
saying this with my dog laying down right next to me. Oh, hard.
Yeah.
Or like I saw this video of this woman like in China picking up live mice and just plopping them into her mouth and chewing on them. And it's just something has to change over there because the way they consume food. I know it's not all of them, but I think it's like 30% of them still consume dogs. Um, you know, Something has to change, and the wet market is. I guess the only reason why China even allows the wet market because it's all wild animals, right, that are caught and sold to people, right? The only reason why China allows it is because China is a communist state, which means everything is property of the government. And so wild animals can then be taxed.
Yeah.
So that's why the Chinese government is a fan of it, I suppose.
Yeah, what needs to change is they need to get rid of communism in that country.
Get luck.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the sad thing is that like people, the lower class are starving over there, and so like, they and so because of that, they will eat, crap like dogs and mice and rats and
Yeah.
bats are the ones I can't figure out that like even if I was starving, I would never. I don't think I could ever eat a bat like.
I don't. And I've seen pictures or videos of like Chinese girls eating the bats like they're tasty little chicken wings or something, like whole bats. Ugh.
Ugh, yeah. Norm Macdonald actually has like a great skit about eating bats like deep fried or something on.
And what does he say?
He like wrote some corny song about eating like bats like deep fried or something like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something.
Yeah, gross.
It's yeah I ne- I love Norm Macdonald. Who would have thought it would have taken a pandemic to get him to make new material? So, but
Yeah. So have you seen any good movies lately?
yeah, well, like I just said, I just started watching Louis C.K.'s new special, which is pretty good. But I I haven't I haven't seen any like new good movies. However, I was watching I I have been watching a series called Justified um, on
What's that about?
FX. Well, Justified is over now, but it's about the U.S. Marshals. It's kind of like it's an investigative drama, but it's about the U.S. Marshals Service in Kentucky. In the main character, he's a U.S. Marshal, but his entire family is basically part of the is basically a part of the Dixie Mafia and basically like the Hells Angels.
Interesting.
So
Uh-huh.
it's basically like he's kind of the black sheep of the family because he's like a cop, and then everyone
Uh-huh.
in his family, is basically like a criminal. So
Yeah. It's like Michael Corleone going to go into the Marines for World War II.
exactly, pretty much. Nice reference there. So
A funny story about U.S. Marshal is I had two friends who went to my high school with me, and one person's father was a U.S. Marshal, and the other person had a big Armenian family, and there is an extensive organized crime family, I suppose, in Armenian
oh yeah,
nationalities as well. So I guess my friend's dad, who's a marshal, actually arrested my other friend's two cousins on diamond smuggling or something like that, and put them both in prison for like 100 years.
wow.
So it just shows you how small of a world it is.
Yeah. So what about you? Have you seen any good films? Well, you're in the movie epicenter basically. So
Well, everything's gotten delayed now, including like James Bond and everything.
I know. I'm kind of pissed about that.
So I haven't been watching too many movies, but I have to tell you, I recently rediscovered TCM, Turner Classic Movies.
Oh yeah, I love.
And I love that channel. I love it. And so anytime I'm in my family room, I'll turn it on just like even as background music. Because, like an old Western or something, there's never a bad time to have that on. And so I've been watching like a lot of the old John Ford movies, which are like the westerns that star John Wayne.
Yeah.
So those are fun, but they're dated, so it's like
I will say I've been rewatching the Dollars trilogy, which is always good.
no, the best western
Which is always
trilogy.
good. So I I I started watching
It's my
I started watching The Outlaw Josie Wales last night, but fell asleep. So
oh, I actually haven't seen that one,
real
but
really.
the good, the bad, and the ugly probably it's in my top 10 favorite films of all time for sure.
Anything that Eastwood does is is good.
You
Almost.
know one that I haven't seen yet is Unforgiven.
Oh, Unforgiven is actually
I hear that's like best western.
Unforgiven is actually the one that I wrote. I actually wrote a term paper about Clint Eastwood and the making of Unforgiven. So
Interesting.
that is a that is a great movie. But yeah, Unforgiven, and then Gran Torino is still like one of his better movies of the
I
past
like
few
that one
recent
too.
years. So
He's a good director. He's a good actor. I really like him.
yeah.
I just saw Dirty Harry for the first time.
What, you just now saw Dirty Harry for the first
There
time?
only I only have so much time in the world to see all these great movies.
Well, well,
But yeah.
well. You need to see Magnum. You need to watch that entire series except for the final one. So
Okay. Okay. Um I'm really a Stanley Kubrick guy, so any Stanley Kubrick film I love. So I actually just saw two of his very recently. Rewatched them. I've seen every single one of his, but one called The Killing, which is on Amazon Prime, and it's like a heist movie. It was like his first real movie, and I thought that was really good. It's black and white, but I think it's really good. And then another one that I just saw rewatched by him was Doctor Strangelove.
oh yeah,
That's one that I think you would like if you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen either of those. I watched The Shining for like the second time last year, which by the way, Alan Powell too in the chat for the folks watching did a hilarious Owen Benjamin mashup of the Shining. So that's that's where
It's Owen Benjamin. That's his name.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So yeah,
Owen at this point might as well be a character in The Shining. So
who is he? The character with the bear mask?
yeah, he's the Jack Nicholson character. He's the guy he's the guy who went crazy. But no, I've also been watching a lot of John Carpenter films.
John Carpenter. Oh, like The Thing.
Well, yeah, well, he's the one who did Escape from New York too, which is it.
Oh, with Kurt Russell.
Yeah, it's a
I think that's on Amazon Prime actually.
it is. So, and, oh,
How is that movie?
it's it's good if you like cheesy B movies from the '80s, which I do.
I guess the character Snake in Metal Gear Solid is based on that character.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. So, um,
Nice, very cool. I'm trying to think of anything else that I've really seen. I haven't seen too many. I just rewatched Citizen Kane for the second time.
I I've seen that movie like 3 times, and I know people are saying it's like the greatest motion picture whatsoever of all time. I I understand it like from an academic level. I just can't get. I maybe like back in the day it was, but I feel like
I don't. I think there were a few other movies of that era that are better. Like Casablanca, I think is better.
definitely
12 Angry Men. Um, a little while after, I don't know when did if Citizen Kane was the 40s, I guess 60s. would be what I think is the greatest film of all time is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Well, the greatest film of all time, in my opinion, is easily The Godfather. That is
I think that's number two.
The Godfather, in my opinion, is a perfect film from start to finish, especially if you watch one and two back to back, which I've done, but I've needed a lot of coffee to do that. So
I love the shot at the end of the first one, and you see Michael, and you know he obviously says what he says, and then his wife leaves the office, and then his wife looks back and she sees the man coming up and like kissing his ring and everything. Then you see then the door just closes.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me chills every time.
The novel is equally as good. If
I have the novel. I haven't read it yet.
It's I've actually had to read that book twice for school.
Wow,
It's
that's a good school you're going to.
yeah, well I went to a pretty good I actually went to a pretty good conservative high school in Colorado back in the day. I'm not
I
sure
didn't know that.
I'm not sure how it is now, but because I think probably now it's been infiltrated by the SJWs like everything else. But back when I was there, it was pretty good. So mainly though.
When I went to,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I'll just say this real quick. My freshman year of college, I actually went to a community college right by my house, and for my English class there, the book we studied for the whole semester was Watchmen.
Oh.
Which is a comic book.
Oh yeah,
which
no,
actually is probably the greatest comic book ever written, and it's amazing.
I would agree. I do want to ask you about that. Have you watched the new HBO series?
I do not have HBO, but I've heard it's very good. Is it not?
It's.
It seems like they just took the intellectual property just to suck people in, and then they just kind of did their own thing. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Let me put it this way: it's good, like the way that they've filmed it and whatnot, but it's okay. I'm not. Okay, fuck it. I don't. You don't care if I spoil it for you at the.
I'm never gonna watch it, so
Okay.
go for it.
It's
Viewers, block your ears.
It's basically I've done videos on it on my channel.
Oh, okay.
But as it's basically an SJW cringe fest, basically. They first off, I don't think they needed the series to begin with, because the end of the Watchmen series, with the end of the Watchmen graphic novel, with Rorschach's journal being discovered, and what would get published or what not, and kind of leaving open ended.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the points of Watchmen.
It's a great ending. And you see the journalist is eating his burger, and then a bit of the juice drops from the burger onto his shirt, and it's the exact same drop as is on the comedian's button.
This kind of ruins all that, because it kind of answers that question. I mean, so basically they made Rorschach into like a neo-Nazi, like alt-right type figure, which
of course they did.
Which I'm like, okay, Rorschach is not alt-right. He's more like a pure anarchist.
He's objectivist. He's like an Ayn Rand.
Yeah. Yeah. So so they got rid of that. Night Owl is in jail the entire time and doesn't even make a cameo in the series. Like, at some point, Night Owl gets arrested, and his whole thing is just backstory. And then the biggest spoiler of all, they decided to make Dr. Manhattan a black dude.
There's no reason for
And
that.
it's extremely convoluted, and like they explain kind of why, but it's so kind of the explanation for it is so long that if I did, you would probably fall asleep. But it's just like why? So it's basically an SJW cringe fest, and I'm like, basically, it's an SJW superhero show with the Watchmen property, used.
Uh, did you ever see the film by Snyder? I think it was
Uh,
Zack Snyder was his name about Watchmen.
yeah,
The Watchmen movie.
yeah, the Watchmen movie is actually great. So,
Yeah, I thought the theatrical release was not that good, and then the extended version was better.
the
But like the ultimate director's cut or whatever, where it's like 4 hours long.
yeah,
Oh my gosh! I thought where it includes the pirate comic in it. I thought that was amazing.
yeah,
That was exciting.
the director's cut is amazing. In fact, we actually have one Watchmen fan subscribed to the channel. I'm not sure if he's in here, but yeah, one step too far is his name, and he's obsessed with the Watchmen and does like all these super cuts on his channel.
I love the opening scene where, well, I guess the opening scene is the fight that comedian has in his apartment, which I think is a good scene. But then I think that's a good scene too because it's playing like the sort of like Frank Sinatra-esque music while he's doing the fight.
Yeah.
But then after that, it cuts to sort of like the opening credits, and it's Bob Dylan's "The Times They Are a Changing."
Yep.
And it shows you sort of the history of the Watchmen. And oh, I love that. I think that's one of the greatest opening credits sequences of all time.
Definitely. Yeah, that the movie is great just for that opening title sequence.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of music though, and Bob Dylan. First of all, speaking of Bob Dylan, he just released a new song a few weeks ago. I don't know.
I heard. I heard about it. I haven't taken the time to cut out 17 minutes of my day to listen to it.
It's today was the first.
I honestly didn't know he was still alive.
I didn't either. The one thing I will say is I've never been able to stand the man's voice, but
Uh-huh.
but the man is a genius lyrically. I will give him that.
Yeah, I'd say he's a poet.
Yeah, but this one is very it's chilling to put it lightly. It's basically all about the Kennedy. It's all about the Kennedy assassination. So,
Should I listen to it?
yeah, you have a bunch of stuff you need to listen to as well. So
I know. I have 4,600 songs just in my normal playlist.
and when you sent that to me,
And they're long songs. They're not pop 2-minute songs.
yeah, and when you sent that to me, I clicked on the link and it opened Apple Music and then said an error has occurred. So
Oh, really? It was just too big to even do.
I guess so.
I think I have 3 good playlists. I have my normal Ryan playlist, which is just like rock music. And then I have a swing playlist. So swing being like Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin, Dean Martin, that type of stuff. I really like have you played the game BioShock?
I haven't played in a long time, but
No, well, in the game they have sort of like that 50s or 40s, I guess, like swing big band type music. I really liked that music ever since playing that game.
yeah. well, that's kind of the same thing with like Mafia, the Mafia games. So,
Oh, I've actually never played those.
those are fun if you get the chance. I don't even have a PS4. I still have a PS3. So, um,
Do you still use it?
yeah, I still do. So, um,
They're coming out with the PS5 pretty soon, I guess.
I know. I'm like, do I get a PS4 or just wait to get the PS5? So, um,
Yeah.
the thing with it is anytime I get like enough money to buy a PS4, I always end up spending money on like microphones or stuff for this podcast. But yeah.
Well, you're a very good host for that.
Well,
You should be admired for it.
well, thank you. Yeah, and more people should send me money on Streamlabs or you're banned for
I
life.
agree.
So, um, so, um, nah, just kidding. Yeah, no, it's with this whole quarantine thing. I've been just trying to catch up on like movies and a whole bunch of TV shows. So, um,
Yeah. One TV show that I really like, and I think you will like too. It's called. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you don't already watch it, it's called Curb Your Enthusiasm
oh my
with
God,
Larry David.
oh my God, I love Curbed Your Enthusiasm.
Pretty good.
You forgot one pretty in there, but yeah,
Oh, did
it
I?
is pretty good. So yeah. Larry David is a genius. So
I love that show. It's very relatable, I think.
it is very relatable, especially and again I'm probably gonna get in trouble here, but especially with Jeff's Jewish wife. So
Oh, I love her. I think she's like the best other character in the show.
well, I once had a Jewish girlfriend who was exactly like that.
Oh, really?
Though, yeah,
Oh,
it was.
I didn't know it was a stereotype.
Oh yeah, that's a total stare. That's a total. Have you ever been to New York?
Yeah, once on a field trip.
Oh, okay. So that's so interesting. California doesn't have Japs, Jewish American princesses. Um,
Maybe. I mean, we do have Hollywood, so maybe, but I don't live in Hollywood. I live in
well,
Orange County.
well, that's true, but you do, but you have dated a bunch of Instagram models, so.
Yeah, what can I say? I don't really like talking about that in front of everyone. I like to be more humble.
Uh, oh, sh- oh, sure.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I think you have too.
Oh yeah, I have before. Now I'm, now I'm.
Sorry to just put you on the spot like that and make you seem less humble.
Oh no, I once actually met a Playboy Playmate once, so so.
Nice.
But but yeah, I am single. Well, I've been single for the past 5 years, so yeah.
Nice. Single life is it's pretty nice. I know so many guys who get married or engage at the age of 20, and it's like say these were their balls, right?
Yeah.
These were their balls. It's like this after the engagement. It's like that.
Yeah.
They've just gone away, you know? They never want to hang out anymore. They never want to do anything.
I knew I know of a guy who's actually from California, um, and he got married. He he enlisted in the Marines. This kid is like 19, so he got married. He enlisted in the Marines, and he shipped off. She cheated. She cheated on him,
Jody.
and
Yeah, have you seen the movie Jarhead?
yeah, I have. So yeah,
Jody, you remember Jody?
I know what a Jody is. So so
Man,
but
sucks for him.
so they're divorced now, and he's single again. So at 19, he's been engaged, married, and divorced, like all in the span of less than a
Yeah, but if you're gonna be a man who gets divorced, that's the way to do it, is have your wife cheat on you, or else you're losing
well
half of your income for the rest of your life.
well yeah I agree with that, but also what I'm saying too is it's like geez, this kid is 19 and he's already done all that.
I know. I
I'm
know. He's pretty. I know.
I'm
He's working out the bugs.
I'm
That's what he's doing.
I'm 25, and I haven't even had a relationship that has lasted more than 3 years. So actually a year and a half.
3 years is pretty
So
long.
well, yeah. So
A year and a half is pretty long, if you ask me too.
yeah.
Maybe it'll seem like not as long as I get older.
Yeah, part of it for me, honestly, and people keep saying that like, oh well, politics, shouldn't really matter, but when you're, and I'm not saying like I'm a huge public figure, but I'm still kind of out there, and that does things do come up when that's when
Mm-hmm.
you're a public figure. So I just need to
Sure,
find.
it's funny with me. Like I'll have.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny for me because I go to college and I'll have. Oh, my dog is walking back into the room again. Here, also, Molly, come over here. Here, I'll show you guys my dog real quick. Oops, Molly. Here she. Molly, come over here. Here's Molly. Molly, sit. Molly. She's a black lab. She's a very good dog. Well, anyway, yeah, I go to college, and I'll have these girls who are talking to me, and like they'll want to follow me on all my social media and everything. I'll be like, fine, I'll accept you to. And so like they'll want to talk to me every day, right? And then what's on my Instagram? Me with Nigel Farage, me with Milo, all that type of stuff. And so I click accept, and like the instant I click their follow request, they never want to talk to me again. It's the weirdest coincidence. I don't know what happens.
You
It's always when I accept that follow request, all of a sudden nobody wants to talk to me anymore.
you're too based. You're too based for them. So
I am too based.
with me with me they hit the accept, and then they see my page and they think I'm an alcoholic. I really don't drink that much, but the only time I post on Instagram is like when I'm trying a new beer or something like
What's wrong with
that.
being an alcoholic? I think there's too much stigma around being an alcoholic.
Okay, Gavin. Okay.
Seriously. You're brave and bold if you cut off your body parts, but if you enjoy having a drink, you're problematic.
Well, okay,
I don't think.
okay, yeah. If you want to go down that road, then yeah, I agree. So, um,
Yeah, it's not like having a. I don't want to get too controversial, but it's like, I was maybe going to mention some psychotropic drugs, but that may just rub people too much the wrong way, and
have
I
you
go down.
have have you taken psychotropic? Have you taken fun?
No, I have not, but I do think some people who. I say screw it. Well, I'll just say it real quick, and you can disagree with me and say I'm a horrible human being for saying this. But I think there are just some people who live depressing lives and they're naturally depressed for it. Like people who live great lives are naturally happy.
Oh yeah.
It's natural. It's natural for you to be depressed when you live a depressing life, but they think, oh no, I'm depressed. I need to get on medication. And so then they sort of build a dependence on medication for their depressing lives, or they have social anxiety because they never leave the house. And instead of actually going out and socializing and, you know, getting more comfortable around crowds, they say, oh no, I need medication. And so, you know, and that's a pretty hot take that rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Holy shit.
But
It's like, holy shit though. It's like you've been listening to my podcast for the last, 2 years.
oh, is that what you say too?
Oh my god, dude. I don't want to go off on a rant here, but I hate going to the doctors. And it's not because I'm unhealthy or anything. It's because the fucking doctor, like, I'm 25 and granted we could probably all be like a bit healthier. Who couldn't? But like by and large, I'm pretty healthy, all things being considered.
Mm-hmm.
I the last time, actually this wasn't the last time, but this was like 2 years ago. I went to the doctor, and it was during fall midterms. So the doctor was like asking me a whole bunch of questions, and like he asked, like, how are you stressed? Do you ever get depressed or anything like that? And jokingly, I said, well, Doc, I am in college and I am, in midterms right now, so depression kind of goes with the territory. Like, and I said it very lightly. Like, obviously, I meant as a joke. He he
Uh-huh.
he goes out. His his aide his like his assistant or whatever comes
Uh-huh.
in, and it's like, so we'd like to write you a script for something something or other. I can't even remember what. And
Wow.
I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, because you told the doctor you were depressed. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And he's like, well, didn't you just say you were stressed? I'm like, oh. I'm like, I was just making small talk, and I was just making a joke. Well,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of college students, can get like depressed and stressed over school, and I'm like, nah, I don't. I'm like, no thanks. I don't, need, you know, I don't need antidepressants to get through school. And it's like,
Yeah.
now it's like, granted there are some people that certainly need them, I think, but we are way too overly medicated as a society in general. So,
I think so too. I think, Milo always said you have all these female teachers who think boys who are naturally boisterous, right? Naturally energetic, they think that's a bad thing and somehow unnatural. And so they tell all the parents, these boys are horrible. Your boy child is a monster. And so the parents think that they have a uniquely horrible boy. I have a uniquely horrible son. But no, that's just how sons are.
I I've
They're naturally boisterous and mischievous.
I have a funny story to tell you about that. I think I might have told you this one over the phone one time or in private text. And I think I might have uh, shared this on the show once a long time ago. But way back when I was in kindergarten or whatever. I don't even think I was in kindergarten yet. I think I was going into kindergarten. But I have some special needs. I'm in a wheelchair, and so because of
Mm-hmm.
that, like, growing up, like, I had like some special needs. So I guess, like, way back when my mom went to go meet with like the school or whatever to plan for that. And one of the teachers there was like, "Well, we'd like to put Sam on Ritalin based on these."
Is that for concentration?
Ritalin is like one of those is like one of the they were like trying to diagnose me with like ADD or something like that.
Mm.
And my mom's like, "What are you basing this?" Well, we've noticed that your son doesn't like pay attention very well in math. And
Yeah.
my mom's like, "Yeah, but he's 5. Like, show me a 5-year-old." Well, we'd still like to consider it. And my mom's like, "Listen very carefully and listen good. If you even recommend Ritalin or any of those drugs to my son once again, I will sue this school so quickly
Good.
your head will spin."
Good.
And yeah, I was never put on any of those behavioral meds
That's amazing.
or anything like that. Yeah, because, and I mean, I turned out normal because of it. So
I know, yeah. It seems like every kid who took drugs to either for concentration or anxiety or anything else, it seems like they were robbed of their chance to develop those skills of dealing with life naturally.
yeah,
And so now they're completely prepared for the world going forward.
yeah. Well, and I think it fucks with your hormones too and whatnot. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm pretty damn sure it is. I mean, another controversial opinion, but like I I certainly think that in some cases there generally are gay people, and I don't and I don't have a problem like if you're gay, you're gay, whatever. But there's also I think part of it is also biochemistry, and I think that you've got all these kids on behavioral like altering meds, and it's like it's like if you're on these meds, of course you might want to be like transgender or whatever because
Yeah.
you're like your hormones are all out of whack and whatnot.
Hmm.
So um
And what I find especially weird is that there are a lot of parents who will push their kids towards transgenderism, and the parents think it's a thing to be proud about.
ugh, yeah, that
Ugh, poor kids, huh?
yeah.
Poor kids.
Yeah, I don't if if you want to be transgender once you turn like I mean legally it's 18, but like I would say like if you want to be like transgender once you're like 25, sure, go for it. But before then, I just don't think you're developed enough really to make that decision. And it's like
I agree.
it's also like Gavin McGinnis says too. What's wrong with just being gay? So,
Yeah. That's funny. I actually haven't heard that. I remember seeing back when Milo had his podcast, he had Gavin McInnes on, and that was like the funniest podcast of all time.
mine was actually on a network with Gavin now. So,
What's that network called?
censored.tv. You're welcome.
Oh, what a great name.
You're welcome, Gav. Now pay me. So
I haven't seen anything from Milo in a long time. It's
I'll have
really I only stick to the main social networks like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And when people get banned from all three of those, plus Apple Podcasts, as I think Alex Jones was and all that, I just lose track of these people. And so
you.
I feel bad. I feel bad for them though.
You should join Discord if you haven't already. I'll invite you into my server. So
Okay, thanks. I don't have Discord. But I remember Milo had like 250,000 followers on Twitter or something. Like he was huge.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because I have a, I have like 1,000 subs on Twitter, but
Uh,
I'm starting to get shadow banned on Twitter. So I'm also getting shadow banned uh, on YouTube now too. Um, my videos,
wow.
I have 630 subs, and my vids aren't showing up in people's feeds anymore. Same with these live streams. Usually, I'll have like 20 or 30 people watching these live streams, but like since this coronavirus has hit, I've only had like 7 people watching as of late. So,
Wow.
I mean, not that I don't appreciate the 7 people that For those of you guys who are watching, I appreciate you guys, but it's weird that only 7 of you are getting notifications. So,
Yeah, it's sad to hear. How many do we have today?
well, right now we have 8. We had 10 earlier.
Hey, that's one above average, I guess.
So, but the last time you were here, we had 40 people watching. So,
Yeah, I remember.
um,
So yeah,
and
it's tough.
yeah,
It's tough to be conservatives, and I know a lot of people like Charlie Kirk say, "Well, just start your own social network, start your own TV channel, or whatever." But it doesn't work like that because people only follow the main things. They only follow like the top 4 cable news channels, and us and Fox was lucky enough to actually get in the lineup before all the channels were really solidified, right? Or like start your own Twitter or start your own Facebook. It's not how it works. It's not how it works.
well, see, here's the thing with like start your own YouTube or start your own Twitter. Like the so I'm a technical writer. That's what my major is. So basically, like I do mass communications and like technology, kind of like a fusion of the two.
Uh
So
huh.
like I don't I don't necessarily do IT, but I've dabbled a little in that, and I can just tell you that like the server costs of like starting your own video platform or even like your own social network, like the server costs and the infrastructure of just setting something like a Twitter up or something like that are huge, and
No, I'm sure.
like
It's like it's like $200 a year for my website for the school paper, and that takes like no server space.
yeah, mine, thesandwichinfo.com, mine is $20 a year, but that's only because like I basically just pay for the domain name and then use like WordPress free one. But that's also because like
Um,
I bought it like 6 years ago. Like now I think it's like $60. So
we're using WordPress too, and we're gonna upgrade it more once we get more money in. But the WordPress, we tried doing our own website, but like building it from scratch, it is so much work. It's not worth it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so
So
we said,
yeah,
so
so
we said, might as well just go WordPress.
yeah, so so yeah, anytime Charlie or someone says something like, "Oh, well, just build your own YouTuber," and then it's also like, well, okay, even if you have the funds, even if you have the money, like you're not bringing new people in, um,
Yeah.
by doing that. Like the whole point of being on, the whole point of being on YouTube or being on Twitter. I shouldn't say the whole point, but one of the points is, that like people discover you or something like that. So
So, oops, I accidentally started playing Rage Against the Machine.
nice, nice.
Bullet in the Head. I only really like their first album.
Uh,
The dude burning himself.
yeah,
It's a pretty sure.
yeah, I love that. I love that album. I also love I'm not as much of a Rage Against the Machine fan. However, I'm a big Audio Slave fan, and I'm also a big.
Oh,
I'm a
I love
huge.
Audioslave.
I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. So.
I like Soundgarden too. Soundgarden sort of has dropped off my map, so I need to start listening to them again.
Well, Chris Cornell. I'm sorry. This is gonna be a bad joke, but Chris Cornell has dropped off the map basically. So.
Yeah, I know.
So.
And you know, a lot of people think it was because he was on psychotropic drugs.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
Nobody is just living an amazing life as a rock star, making, millions of dollars a year with a nice, loving family, and then decides, you know what, this isn't enough. I'm gonna hang myself. Right? No person in their right mind thinks that.
And he did have depression, but he was also on meds too. I mean, I'm pretty sure the same thing happened to Michael Jackson as well. So.
And Michael Jackson was painkillers.
Yeah. Well, same thing though. I mean, drug related death.
Oh yeah.
Does.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, I mean, I think Anthony Bourdain and Robin Williams was probably similar to Chris Cornell.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anthony Bourdain was like he used to live a crappy life his entire life. Like he was addicted to heroin, like worked horrible jobs and everything. Like for 40 years, he lived a horrible life. And then he writes one book called Kitchen Confidential, which is an amazing book. You should definitely read it if you haven't.
I'm probably gonna get it. I'm probably gonna get it on Audible at some point.
It's such a good book. Oh, I'm sure it's amazing on Audible. And then he gets his own TV show first on the Food Network, and then it goes to CNN, I think. But like he's going around, he's living his dream life. He has a great daughter. He's making millions of dollars a year. And then he's in some penthouse suite in Spain or something, and then he decides, you know what, I'm not happy. I'm going to end it all here. Yeah. That's not how it works. You're not at the top of your life after having a miserable life. You're not at the top living an amazing life and then decide at that point that your life is bad.
Yeah, it's
there's something else acting up there.
It's definitely bizarre, but at the same time, I also don't think it was like a conspiracy or anything because like after he died, I had people like writing to me saying that like they thought it was like that that it was like QAnon or something like that. So
I have two responses to what you just said. I actually remember after Bourdain died, like a month before he died, he had tweeted on Twitter, obviously, that he was like, I have firsthand experienced the outraged Clinton machine or whatever. If you critique them, they will go after you. He had tweeted that.
So he basically did the infamous "I have information that will lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton."
Exactly.
Clinton meme.
Exactly.
So.
But then also, do you know who Alex is? ALX.
Yeah, kind of.
So he's a conservative guy who I've talked with a few times, and I guess the whole QAnon thing is a hoax by 4chan.
Oh yeah, it totally is. Well, I mean, it totally is a hoax, but see that's the whole other thing. Is like all these QAnon people, and I know some of them are watching, and they're probably gonna get pissed off. They're convinced that the coronavirus is fake, and that Trump is actually like doing like a deep cover operation to like arrest all these pedophiles and like
pedophiles. And, yeah.
Like it always comes back to arresting pedophiles in Hollywood with
it does. It always comes back.
QAnon, and I'm like, okay, well that would be admirable, but I'm like, yeah, the pandemic is real, and it's like not everything relates to Pizzagate or pedophiles. So
Pizzagate, I honestly thought did seem kind of credible though.
Well, Pizzagate well, Pizzagate was credible. Like Pizzagate. Pizzagate is like an actual thing, but that's what I'm saying. Like it went from Pizzagate to like now everything is related to child sex trafficking, and it's like, like.
Well, I mean, you have like Barack Obama's ordering $50,000 worth of hot dogs to the White House, right?
Well,
I mean, is it even controversial to say that Obama is probably gay at this point, and is right, and Michelle Obama is the man of the relationship? Is that even controversial to say anymore?
no. Well, I mean,
Or is it just universally accepted as fact?
well, I mean, Obama did have that handler, Reggie Love, so.
Have you seen the clips? And this is like really controversial, but there are clips, like legitimate clips of Michelle Obama like dancing, and you see something swinging about right in the place where on a man a dong would be. It's the weirdest thing, and I don't want to jump to conclusions, but the videos are there, and I encourage everyone to look at the videos themselves and arrive to a judgment.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he/she has anything there. I'm just saying, it's very peculiar, and I don't see any other women with that same bulge.
Well, I mean,
maybe it's just baggy underwear or something. Who knows?
Well, I mean, let me say this. I think that Michelle Obama is a
Michael.
Oh, jeez. Oh God. No, I think let's assume for a sec that she is a woman. She is the angriest woman I think I've ever seen.
There are a lot of angry women out there, but she certainly gives them all. That person certainly gives them all a run for their money.
Well, Ryan, just how many Instagram models have you pissed off? Because, you're saying that there are, you're
whatever. That's how you filter them out.
You're not.
It would take too much time to just choose out of all of them. I have to filter them out.
Well, you're not supposed to just. You don't have to just pick one. You can do what I do and just take all of them. So.
All of them? I don't know if I have enough to. Maybe I'll just settle for like the top 10 and call it there.
Yeah, that seems fair. But no, in all seriousness, with yeah, I mean the Obamas are certainly weird. With I mean I will say this, I don't think, even if Obama was born here in America, I don't think he's certainly not pro-American. I find it weird that he's dropped off the map, like, completely since leaving office.
I think my dog is making noises.
It's okay.
I think he genuinely thinks that the Democrat Party is maybe not too left, but is too loony for voters. Like the Bernie Sanders stuff. I think Barack is smart enough to recognize that those aren't electable positions. But I think he's more interested in the cultural stuff than like economic. So I think I remember seeing an excerpt from one of his books saying like, if I ever had to choose between the Christians and the Muslims, I would stand with the Muslims. And so he really seemed like an apologist for the Muslim world when he was president. Seemed to be kind of like what he stood for.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, he pulled the troops out of Iraq prematurely, which, was basically pouring fertilizer on ISIS. Then if that wasn't enough, Obama gave weapons to ISIS inadvertently by giving them to Syrian rebels who all turned out to be ISIS members. I'm not sure how he didn't know that beforehand. And then my dog's making a lot of noise. And then then he goes and gives like $500 million in pallets of cash to Iran, the largest state sponsor of terrorism. So I'm, Molly, come. Hey, Molly, come. So my dog is being so bad.
Nah, she's a good girl.
Look at this dog. Look, doesn't she just look mischievous?
Nah, she looks
She's
like
up to no good.
Nah, she looks like a
Molly, say hi to
sweetie.
the camera. Look, she's saying hi. She's saying, who is this weird man? I'm just kidding. She's saying, who is this dashingly handsome man?
She looks like a real sweetie. So.
Aw, she says thank you. Look, she's smiling now.
Well, yeah. Also,
you just made her day.
Also,
nobody ever gives her compliments anymore.
Oh, come on. I don't.
I'm just kidding. Everyone does.
Yeah.
Oh, Molly. Oh.
Yeah, labs really are the best dogs.
I think they're the best all around for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Molly.
Yeah. So.
Nice. So, anything else new with you, or same old, same old?
I mean, I'm just kind of, I'm just waiting out the quarantine, trying not to become an alcoholic, but who knows?
I think everyone has become an alcoholic at this point. Everyone. When you have nothing to do, you just eat and drink. Molly, down.
I wrote
okay.
I wrote a pretty good I did write kind of a good joke today. I'm kind of like, well, I'm like, Louis C.K. has to be happy to where, I mean, not only does he have a new stand-up special, but now because of the quarantine, literally everyone is just masturbating furiously like he does. So
he just set an example for everyone.
Yeah, what else is there to do during quarantine? So we can't work. So,
I know. Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of new addicts in the world thanks to quarantine. I have one friend. Here, can you still see my camera?
Yeah.
Okay. I have one friend called Jason Andrew Garshfield, and he's one of the most talented writers ever. And I actually have an op-ed by him that I'm publishing in the Hasparian this Monday. So let me go to it real quick. So he has said a bunch of just the most amazing things. He's such an amazing writer, and he has such unique takes. So here, I'll read some of the things that he has said, like about coronavirus. He said, like, up until the 1950s, it was a normal thing for children to get polio and end up in an iron lung for life. This is an ancient history. The Salk vaccine only came out a couple of years before my parents were born. Same with measles, mumps, and the rest of the vaccines. People took precautions in those days, but the schools did not close down and society went on as normal. If a disease like polio showed up today, it would lead to a complete breakdown of society, just like what we've seen. Perhaps it's time to consider the possibility that our recent ancestors were not completely stupid and that they recognize that there is a limit to what we can be expected to do to fight diseases. Or there was another one where it was like, he said, this shit really is, this shit as in a reference to coronavirus, this shit really is just the flu for most young people. Boomers spent the 60s doing acid and having sex with strangers. Now the young people of today are supposed to give up our freedom to keep the boomers safe in their old age. They ask that millennials sacrifice for the common good when they have, by and large, sacrificed little and less for their country. If you are 80 years old, it is time to begin coming to terms with your own mortality.
Oh, jeez.
So he really just sticks it to them. But I think he's just such an amazing writer, very underrated, and he has great takes. He's very well read.
He's not wrong. So
Yeah, I don't believe in, sending Grammy to the morgue just so my stocks will do better, but you know, the old people are making the rules right now, and the old people are terrified. But it's time to think about the rest of civilization. I
well,
think maybe man does not live on bread alone, but man does need bread to live. And if everybody's unemployed, and if all stores are closed, too many people are going to be going without bread.
it's not even that though. Based on what I'm kind of seeing, and they're saying that the curve could be like a lot worse if we didn't quarantine. But it kind of seems like the people who are susceptible to get it are going to get it anyway. It seems so.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm okay with everything going back to normal. Everybody catches it. We grow a group immunity to the disease, then it's over. Because it's not right. Everybody says coronavirus is 10 times more fatal than the normal flu. Well, the normal flu has a fatality rate of 0.1%, right? Which means times 10. That means coronavirus has a mortality rate of 1%. And if you're in good health, or if
yeah,
you're just a young person in general, there's nothing to worry about. And if you're old and if you're at risk, well, you were probably very careful to begin with anyway, right? So, you know, I'm
yeah,
just not willing to sacrifice the whole economy. Um, I don't want to say just so old people can live a few years more, because that would seem very uncaring of me. But I don't want to sacrifice the economy. Just, uh, I just don't think it's a good idea to sacrifice the economy.
well, well, the only thing I can think though, too, possibly is that like there might, and again, this goes back to my conspiracy of China, like of this maybe being like a bioweapon. Like there could be something that they're not telling us about this virus, with it being like a bioweapon. But like that's the only thing I can think of, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a bioweapon just because it's so stinking weak. Like, if there was going to be a bioweapon, it would be like a more contagious strain of Ebola or something, right? Something that kills you in 48 hours and like your body falls apart, basically, right? That's like what Ebola is. Like your body disintegrates. Um, like, have you ever read books by Tom Clancy?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Tom
Have you
Clancy
read
fan.
Rainbow Six?
I haven't read the Rainbow Six book yet.
So Rainbow Six is an amazing book. It's like 600 pages. It's a thick book, but it's very good. And basically, the plot in that one is that you have these environmentalist terrorists who want to clear out humanity so that can return back to, a greener state, I suppose is what they refer to it as. And the way they set out to do this is by creating a new strain of Ebola and spreading it at the Olympic Games.
Oh yeah, I well isn't that the premise for one of the games?
I haven't played the Rainbow Six games, but probably is because it's based on the book. I'm sorry. Can I go get my dog real quick? My dog is running around upstairs and is getting
Yeah.
into things. Okay, I'm sorry. Give me 30 seconds.
So, well, folks, it's been quite an interesting evening. So, by the way, I am, I am, I'm still sober. We do need to get Alan Powell on the program here soon. I need to hear more of his insights about this guy named Whoosh. So, um, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I'll ask Ryan some of those questions. That's a good point. So, and no, Ryan does not beat his dog like Blowin does. So, uh, anyway, I'm into those of you guys who are you know, and to those of you guys who are watching, thanks for tuning in. I'm just sorry that you know, more of you guys aren't able to watch. So, yeah, Alan. Well, I mean, I think it's about time that you and I had a chat about you know, I think it's about time you and I had a chat because honestly, uh, he's not liking me either these days, and I didn't even do anything to him. But anyway.
She's such a bad dog.
No.
She's a very good dog, but she's just getting restless, and I had to put her to bed.
Well, she's a sweetie. Um. So anyway, I have a couple of people in the chat who want to ask you a couple questions. Like, the main point.
Sure, let's do it.
The main question is, you know, if you don't think that the quarantine is effective, then why are you doing it then? I get this question a lot too.
Are online, so I'm not going to go to school anyway. School is closed. I am not allowed to go to work, and my parents don't want me leaving the house. Somehow my dog got out of the room and is here again. Lay down, Molly.
She likes me, apparently.
I think she does. And also, every store is closed. Bars are closed. You know, I'm just home. I'm home because Gavin Newsom in California, he's the governor, declared a statewide emergency or whatever. I believe it's a misdemeanor to leave your home. I don't know if that's statewide or only in the big cities, but either way, it's not good to be leaving the house anyway. And so I guess you can leave to go on walks around your neighborhood and stuff like that, but that's it. And so, yeah, that's about where we're at.
Well, Ryan, you can still hit on chicks in your neighborhood. You don't have to go to bars. So.
I know. Any other questions?
Let me see. Someone said, Ryan, take the damn dog for a walk. She's probably already been out on a walk, is my guess.
She's been on 2 today, 2 long ones. So I think she's just restless. You know, she's a young dog.
She needs snuggles, probably.
Yeah, I'll snuggle after this.
So, we do have a few you know, people who think that you're making sweeping generalizations about baby boomers. So,
those who fought in Vietnam are obviously exempt, right? Right, those people are actually heroes or reluctant heroes, right? But everyone else, you know,
we're not.
Right?
We're not.
I'm not the biggest fans. I think maybe the generation before them were more noble.
I would take it a step further. I think the baby boomers that watch this program are not boomers, so to speak. Though let me clarify that, because I think
Sure.
I think obviously there are millennials who use the term boomer like freely to you know, assign that to all baby boomers, but no, like when I use the term boomer, it's to classify baby boomers who just bitch and moan about, like, everything, but also like are liberals. So essentially,
Sure.
essentially, this is referring to Blaze. Essentially, though, Blaze, when I'm referring to Boomer, I'm referring to Teddy Spaghetti, aka Vox Day, who is a total Boomer. I don't consider
I
you
didn't know that.
I don't consider you or Larry to be boomers per se, but Vox is a total boomer. So, um, Ryan, I'm actually assuming that you unfortunately know who Vox Day is, right?
Is he the bald guy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I've seen clips of him, but I don't follow him or anything. The way I understand it is he said the N word as a quote or something, and he got in a lot of trouble for it.
Well, that's also Owen Benjamin who said that. But no, Vox Day. I mean, Vox Day is just he's basically this conservative who wants to. Well, I shouldn't say conservative. He's this left winger who like LARPs as a right winger, and he likes to swat people and like and his dad is a literal his dad is like a literal criminal too, and so he just basically
Oh,
he's like he basically Vox Day is a scam
sounds like
artist.
JFK.
So um
I'm just kidding.
no, JFK was honorable. So
JFK's dad was as pretty much as criminal as it gets.
yeah. um yeah, I mean,
Have you seen the movie The Irishman?
yeah, I did see it. um that was 4 hours pretty well spent, I would say.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. I didn't think it was Scorsese's best, but it was pretty good.
It w-
And
it
honestly, I think Scorsese is I think he's kind of a closet conservative, or at least anti-democrat.
it wasn't Goodfellas.
Like,
It wasn't Goodfellas. Um,
I think it's in Gangs of New York. He shows how like voter fraud was rampant in the Democrat Party.
what one movie that I still need to see is Joker, actually. So
And it's I saw it and I didn't think it was as good as it. So like right, so journalists are so incredibly sensitive to everything, right? And so they saw Joker and they said, "This movie, it's the most violent, horrible, society crushing movie I've ever seen." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this sounds awesome! I'm gonna see it." Then I saw it and it's like a mediocre movie. I didn't think it was that great.
well, my biggest problem is there's no Batman, and I'm sorry, but you cannot have a Joker without having.
Well, there's Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne
Yeah,
as a is in the movie. That's not
yeah,
really a spoiler.
eh.
He's like barely in the movie.
Well, see that's the other problem though, because I mean,
It makes Joker very old.
if Bruce is a child, I mean, like if Bruce was like a
Hey, Molly.
teenage if like Bruce was like a teenager or something like that, or like close to the age of like becoming Batman, like
Sure.
then maybe, yeah, I couldn't understand it, but like, yeah. um
Have you heard about the new Batman movie?
yeah, I
And you know it's gonna be Joker is gonna be in it. And you know it's gonna be Jared Leto playing Joker.
they're gonna bring Jared Leto back.
I guess if you bitch and complain enough, your name is Jared Leto. You can get anything you want.
I did like him in Blade Runner 2049. So
I liked him in Blade Runner 2049. I liked him in Fight Club. I liked him in American Psycho.
wait, Jared Leto was in Fight Club.
He's the blonde guy.
How did I forget that? So I've
I think he's a really good actor.
I've never listened to his band. I just can't get into them. So
30 Seconds to Mars, I think it is.
yeah.
No, I have never. I think we're like 10 years. I think we're both like 10 years too young to listen to that.
I think you and I are both baby boomers when it comes to music, though. So
I like more. Yeah, I suppose. I also like the old blues type stuff too.
oh yeah, I love the blues.
I just don't like literally. Like people try to end my life as I knew it, not my physical life, but my life at my school and my professional life and everything. Like people really tried to ruin my life, and like ever since then, I've just felt a connection with the blues.
Same here. Well, I mean, dude, if you ever, I understand what you're going through, and like I always said, if you need someone to talk to about this shit, don't know, don't just text me. Call me if you need me to, because I've
Well, thanks.
I've been where you are. I mean, I don't want to bitch and moan and say that this is the reason why I'm still single, but honestly, part of the reason why I'm still single is because, you know, the left has tried to smear me, and so all the rumors that have been started about me, like make me look like a bad guy. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, it's hard. It's not easy,
I mean,
but
I mean, I've
yeah.
I've cleaned that up, pretty much like since I moved here, so it's not as bad, but still. So, um,
Yeah, they will try as hard as they can to destroy your character.
yeah. I will say this, um, you know, I do a pretty good job of going after the cringe, and fringe people on the right too, which I think is kind of, which does need to happen,
Mm.
every once in a while too. But like,
Yeah, the people on the right who I tend to go after are more of the Ben Shapiro, John Kasich types,
I mean, I'll go
or
at I'll
or
go.
one Dan Crenshaw. He's not an honest dude at all.
Yeah, I know that's a shame. I used to really like Dan Crenshaw.
I
Um,
really liked him ever since I knew who he was before, but I really liked him since his SNL appearance, which was great. It was kind of Reagan-esque, right? But he he's a rhino. I don't know how better to explain it. Like he's very much repeat the talking points, but doesn't think for himself, and he's
yeah,
willing to lie, like the red flag laws or about Congress members' salaries and things like that. Which is a more recent example. He's just, I don't know. I've been burned too many times by him to trust him anymore.
yeah. No, no, I feel the same way. I mean, and Alan Powell in the chat would probably agree with you on Crenshaw because, Al,
Crenshaw. That's funny. I don't know how I hadn't thought of that.
yeah. No, I go after. I mean, I go after the alt right more or less because they've harassed me a bit more.
Wow.
But um, yeah, I mean, I don't know what. Well, I mean, I interviewed Ben Shapiro, so
I remember you telling me that
that was
right after Breitbart died.
yeah. I will say this about Ben. I don't think I still think that there's good in him. I just think that he's kind of lost. So
I think he's become much more focused on the dollars than he has on the fight,
he's
if that makes sense.
he's
He actually came and talked to my business school at Chapman, and he's all about the business. He's all about
well he
promoting the Daily Wire, getting speaking engagements, doing ads and promotions and campaigns and everything. he's all. It's hard for me to really believe anything he says because everything he says is to promote the Daily Wire and to promote his own personal brand.
Which the Daily Wire is not cheap either to subscribe to.
Um,
It's like, I think it's up to like $120 a year now.
Holy cow!
So I mean, censored TV is like 99, but like that's Gavin and Milo, and like they're doing all their stuff independently. Like they don't have any backers or anything like that. So
Sure.
um,
Yeah, I wonder how Milo makes money these days.
he works with Gavin, so.
Oh, does Gavin pay? I think Gavin is actually very well off from Vice News.
Gavin's off because of Vice. Gavin's off because of Vice News, but he's also lost a lot of money from like all of the slander and
Oh, I'm sure.
defamation too. So yeah. I mean, but like even me, like I said, ever since coronavirus, I've been shadow banned kind of on YouTube for, and like I don't know why.
It's sad.
I mean,
Sad to hear it.
I mean, I will say this. I think one of the reasons why maybe is because like back when this thing first started, I was kind of making fun of coronavirus a little bit and saying I didn't think it would be serious, but that was back before the shutdown, of everything happened. So.
Well, Fox News fired, Trish Reagan on Fox Business?
Oh yeah, I know.
Fox
Who she
fired
is.
her for her saying that the media was covering coronavirus in a way so as to make it essentially the second impeachment of Trump. She said that, which was a totally normal thing to say during her opinion monologue, and Fox News fired her. But Fox News still has Donna Brazile on, right? They still pay Donna Brazile, who gave debate questions to Hillary Clinton. That just kind of disgusts me with Fox News. Fox News, I think, it's slowly getting worse and worse. I mean, they did get rid of Shepard Smith and replace him with Bill Hemmer, which is amazing, but some of the choices on Fox News, I just grimace at.
I don't have cable, so I can't really watch Fox News even if I wanted to. But I mean, from my understanding, Tucker's really the only one worth watching on there now. So
I agree. I like Greg Gutfeld a little bit too, but he's Tucker's the one to watch.
I like
And Tucker actually does good reporting too. Tucker will actually break stories.
No, I know. And that's what I've always loved about Tucker. With Gutfeld, I feel like he's good, but I feel like Gutfeld's prime was during the Red Eye era, which I mean maybe that's nostalgia of mine from high school, but like I loved watching
I loved Red
Eye.
Eye too.
So, yeah.
I thought even Red Eye with Gutfeld's replacement was great.
Yeah, but it just didn't last. So,
No, I guess reruns of Tucker at 2 a.m. or whatever were doing better than Red Eye.
Yeah, something like
But yeah,
that.
I loved Red Eye. What a great show.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another one where Andrew Breitbart and like Gavin McInnes, like back in the heyday, were regulars on.
Yeah, I remember seeing Gavin McInnes on it, and Gavin was actually on the Gutfeld show too. But I remember on Minecraft Axe, where it's like all pixelated, and then Kevin McInnes would go out into the street and like do interviews for the show and all that. He was a funny guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I remember Milo was on the Gutfeld show once.
Yeah, Milo is interesting.
And
Milo is interesting because
Like,
like I still have not spoken to Milo, but yeah, I've gotten connected to you because of him. I've gotten connected to Ariana because of Milo, but I've never actually spoken to Milo directly. So,
I've gotten drinks with Milo.
well, yeah, I know you have, Lucky. So, um,
It was not something I was expecting. It was very lucky.
I'll tell you what, the one who I would love to, you know, who I would love to meet above anyone though is Rush Limbaugh. So, um,
Rush Limbaugh's very cool too. Yeah, I'd say for me, I would love to sit down with Ann Coulter, maybe.
yeah. Well, yeah, Anne, I think would be a very interesting converse. She would be a very interesting conversation. So,
I think so too.
so
Well, anyway, man, I've still got to go back and update stuff on my Hasparian website.
yeah, man. Well, we've been at this for about 2 hours now. So yeah, um,
Has it been 2 hours?
yeah,
Wow.
a fast 2 hours. But
I remember one time we went for like 4.5 or something.
yeah, we went for we did an Alex Jones slash Joe Rogan style podcast. So yeah, and
Crazy.
that is actually still one of my most downloaded episodes on iTunes at least. So,
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear it. It was a fun episode,
so
as was this one.
yeah, thanks for coming on, man, and we'll have to do it again, you know, much sooner. So,
Yes. Well, I'm sure I'll have a lot more things to talk about in just a little while.
yeah, well, hopefully next time we talk, things will be back to normal. So, I would hate to. I would hate to see how much longer this beard grows out if the quarantine keeps.
I know I've been growing mine out too, but it doesn't grow that quickly. It's sort of just around the edges.
Yeah,
So
I
at least
it's
it's one constant thing.
and see, I don't grow a beard. I grow mutton chops
You get the
for some
sideburns.
reason. Yeah, so
That's interesting. I don't grow up right here, which is weird.
yeah, and see, like I
Or
am
here.
I am Mr. Neckbeard. So um,
Have you not trimmed it up at all?
yeah,
No.
it's
Yeah, I try to trim mine up just a little bit, and I'll try to keep the neck clean, but
I
that's it.
I try to, but it the problem is I can't see down there when I'm shaving it, obviously, so I have to do it by feel.
Uh,
But yeah,
yeah.
anyway,
In
man.
my shower with my razor, I put up a mirror in my shower for when I shave.
Yeah, I try doing that, but then it always falls off. So three
Could be dangerous.
3M tape is not what it used to be. So um, but anyway, man. Well, hey, where can we find you on social media and everything? So
So, my social, you can add me on Facebook. Just search Ryan Marhoefer, Marhoefer. There's only one in the world, so I should pop up at the top. In terms of my Instagram and Twitter, those are both private, but you can follow me. Just Google my name and it should pop up. But where I think you would really get the most out of following is the Hasparian newspaper on Facebook. If you could follow that, that would be amazing.
do you guys?
And you'll all enjoy the content on that.
Yeah, do you guys have a Twitter and stuff?
Not
That,
yet. Not yet. Facebook is really what we're about right now.
yeah. Well, good luck with that because you'll be censored from there pretty soon. So probably.
Well, thanks. Yeah, well, we'll see how far we can get. Then maybe we can switch over to Twitter once we get blocked.
I hate to be the optimist here, quote unquote, but I've done this before, so I'm just telling you what to expect. So, but yeah,
Well, thanks. Well, it's at least fun to ruffle some feathers and get some people worked up while we still can.
enjoy Facebook while you can before you get zucked. That's what I'll say. So.
Well, thanks. I know. I wish Ted Cruz would actually push some legislation through Congress, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe in the next.
All right.
Next term.
Guess who's come by once again to just remind me that she's being bad?
Oh, nah, she's being a sweetie. She's just like she's just like, Daddy, I want you to come snuggle with me now. So.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go pay some attention to her once today. All right. Well, thank you for having me on again, Sam, as always. Are there any more questions or comments?
No, we should be good.
I don't leave any unanswered.
Folks,
Okay.
I want to thank you for, tuning into the show and sticking, with me for long, depending on where you're at. It's 1 a.m. here on the East Coast. It's, I know on the West Coast
10.
It's 10, so, thank you guys for sticking with me. And if you're listening on the audio podcast, thanks for listening there as well. And, from all of us here at NGC Studios, have a good night. God bless and God save this great nation. And I'll see you guys on the, next week. So for the Thursday show, God bless. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really, really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.